Okay, hi guys. I've just found out this really cool thing. I was making something for my game and I really needed a float value. So basically a number that has decimal points, but as you may know, at least in RPG Maker 5X Ace, you can't do that shit for no reason at all. So, for example, when you try to set a variable to, let's say, player X, we're gonna set this to 1.5. What happens is, yeah, it's gonna be 1. It rounds it up. So yeah, we're fucked. How do we make a float variable? Because you can't do it like, for example, setting this to 5 and then dividing it by 2, because it's just gonna give you 2. It's not gonna give you 2.5. It's gonna round it down. So what do we do? Well, there is actually one value in this game that's stored in a float, and it's actually right here in game data. You go into set variable to game data, and then you open up, where was it? Where was it? Yeah, it was character. For example, it can be anything. My favorite one is player. So character player, and then you're gonna select screen X. Yeah, that's the one value that gets stored in a float because, I don't know, for some reason. Uh, well, there is a reason, because when you're, for example, in between two tiles, the engine has to know that. So that's why it's stored in a float and not in a integer. Like map X, don't select map X because map X is an int, and screen X is a float. So select screen X, and that's gonna give you, when you're not moving, the screen X is gonna be 272. So if you want that to be 0, you cannot do set to 0, because that's just gonna make it an int again. But when you do something like this, like I did it here, subtract 272, that's gonna set to 0.0. So that's what we want. And then you can add it, you can multiply it, it's gonna stay a float. The one thing you can't do is you can't set it and you can't modulo it. So you can't give you the remaining numbers from the division. I don't think you should want to use that anyway. If you want to use that, you can just use an int. But okay, let me just show you guys that it's legit, that I'm not fucking lying for some reason. I don't know why anybody would lie about stuff like that, but still, maybe let's turn it down a little. Okay, for example, here, as you can see, the screen X is currently 272 because I'm not moving, and this is where my character is on the screen. Then we're gonna subtract 272, it's gonna be 0.0, and this value will remain afloat as long as you don't set it to anything else. For example, you can add 250 and it's gonna also be afloat. You can multiply it by 2, it's gonna be also a float number. And I think that's just really useful. I haven't seen any tutorials made on this, so I thought it would be cool to show you guys. And if you want to set it to 0, you can just multiply it by 0, and that's gonna give you a 0. So yeah, if you really need float values for something like more advanced scripts, that's the way you can do it. And ignore all that other stuff. It's it's just placeholder tiles, okay? So yeah, if you have any questions, just ask in the comments. Where's the stop button?